Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going live. Don't care. Can't wait anymore. I need to speak about this absolute nonsense that is coming out from TalkSport and other entities and fucking outlets and stuff. Graeme Souness is talking absolute nonsense. I can't even do the intro. I'm not annoyed about it. I'm going to talk about that very, very shortly. But hello, everyone, first and foremost. I hope you're all very, very well. There's been some slander in the media again from an ex-Liverpool player talking about one of our centre-backs, probably without even watching him kick a fucking ball. So we're going to talk about that, and that is going to be the majority of the show. So make sure you stick around for that. If there's any Liverpool fans or other people who don't want to tune in and don't want to listen to that, then, yeah, this ain't the show for you, because we are going to pick apart these points that Graeme Souness has been putting out on TalkSport. And more to the point, just discussing in general the lazy media in football who just kind of throw comments out there without even ever watching a player kick a ball or just assuming that they're still the same player. So that is what we're going to dive into. That is a big chunk of the show. We're going to discuss Calvert Lewin and some news around him. We're going to talk about Scott Mctominay. I'm going to talk about David De Gea. There's a few interesting quotes on there as well. But before we do that, we're going to dive into this Graeme Souness nonsense. So like I said, in typical fashion, like he did with Lisandro Martinez, writing him off before even seeing him play, really. Casemiro in his first season, calling him a steady Eddie. If those quotes came out now, you'd be like, well, yeah, his legs have fallen off a little bit. You kind of understand it. But Casemiro was actually really, really good in the first season. Like, genuinely good. One of our best players, him and Lisandro. So he got that completely wrong. And what he's done is, basically, TalkSport, I've given him a clipboard and said, right, Graeme, these are the controversial quotes that we want you to react to. What do you say? And people might think that's a joke, or that I'm just kind of thinking this. I'm not saying Graeme himself has done this, but I know for a fact people that have been on TalkSport before have been kind of pushed to push a certain narrative or push a certain agenda. Troy Deeney said it about Agbonglahor. He just gets given a list of things that he knows fans are getting emotional and reactive to, and they'll just talk about him. And for some reason, whatever it is, Graeme Souness has a big issue with Manchester United. He hates him. He can't... I don't think I've ever seen Graeme Souness give positive words about United. I'd be absolutely astonished if anyone can kind of quote something. And maybe there is a few little bits out there, but for the most part, he just talks about United like we're in some sort of a gutter, that we just have got the worst players ever. And do you know what I mean? And in some cases, the past 10 years, it's been up and down. But with him specifically, a lot of the pundits, whether it's with Sky Sports or TNT, whoever it is, right, they obviously have a bit of bias. Sometimes with Gary Neville, it's like the opposite. He's like, goes against United too much. So obviously, people have their own bias and they'll push certain things, and I'm okay with that. But when you're completely blindsided and just have one fixed agenda and just constantly talk about United this, United that, and he's just miserable about us, that's when it needs to be picked up. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to switch screens very quickly. Sorry for the people on TikTok, you won't get the benefit of this, but if you want to hop over on YouTube, come and join us. So we're going to dive into the quotes, and we're going to take a look at what's been said. So he's basically, what he's done is he's labelled our new centre-back signing, Matthijs de Ligt, as lightweight. All right, and I'm going to pick apart these bits, and I'm going to go through them in depth and give my opinion on it, and make sure you guys give your opinion on it as well, because I want to hear it. So he's labelled Matthijs de Ligt, first and foremost, as lightweight, and says that he can't really defend. Okay, he's saying he struggled to get into the national team, so why should we trust him if he's not even playing for the Netherlands? Didn't succeed at Juventus or Bayern Munich. Compares De Gea to Onana for some bizarre reason, and said, like, look what's happened there. He also says, is there a queue waiting to buy this player? I don't see any clubs asking for him. And then went to say, for some bizarre reason, that at this present moment in time, he thinks Newcastle are going to finish above Manchester United. So there are the quotes on the screen for you there. What's the big chunk of the interview, that what's been said. Now, I saw the kind of thing out of context. I saw the 1 minute clip where he was talking about De Ligt, and I thought, right, let's go watch the full thing and see what's actually been said. It could have been, that 1 minute clip could have been taken out of context, and then after it, he could have said, but actually, I think he might be good, whatever. No, the full 10 minutes is just nonsense. And then, obviously, Simon Jordan fucking tuning in and being like, he's a pompous, blah, blah, whatever, he's doing what he does, being a Tory individual. So, go back to the normal screen. So, let's pick apart the first point, which is arguably the biggest talking point and the most stupid one of the lot. I mean, there's definitely some stupid ones in here, but this is the biggest stupid one. Saying he's lightweight and can't defend, first and foremost, with Matthijs de Ligt is absolutely ridiculous. Now, if you want to speak about inconsistencies, maybe him not being ultra fast, sometimes he makes the odd mistake, then we can have a conversation. I'll be like, that's fair. He does need to work on that. That should be a concern on United's fans' minds. I have no problem with that whatsoever. But Graeme Souness has clearly never watched Matthijs de Ligt at centre-back in his life. Never. Even if you go to stats and metrics, which some people love, and you look at his aerial duels, ground duels, they're fantastic. And that's a massive part of his game. He loves to get stuck in, and he leads from the back. So that's just the first big bullet point that is just completely wrong, okay? That's one of the quotes down. He also goes on to say he didn't get into the national team. Now, if you're basing Matthijs de Ligt, his ability, on Ronald Koeman's judgment, I don't know what to tell you, because Ronald Koeman is a shit manager, and he's been a shit manager for a while. Fantastic player. Back in his day, I believe he's probably won a couple of Eredivisie titles, but, who hasn't, basically. In the earlier days, I believe. He failed at fucking Everton. He failed at Barcelona. He's a shit coach. He's a shit coach. So if Koeman isn't playing him in the team, forgive me, but I'm not exactly sat there going, oh my God, he must be crap if Koeman's not playing him. Wow, he's not in the national team. You see this all the time with national teams. Sometimes great players don't get in squads. Think about Maguire when he was going through his bad patch, with Manchester United, which we know all too well. And everyone was like, why, Tomori's just won the league with AC Milan. Why is he not starting? Why is he not giving Gahey a chance? Why is he not giving this guy a chance? Caldwell, I think, was playing well at the time with Brighton. Why is he giving all these opportunities? And he would consistently pick Maguire. Because what you notice is they usually go for the experienced, and they usually go for the ones that they trust. So, obviously, he would go with De Vrij from Inter Milan. Now, if you're telling me De Vrij is a far better centre-back than De Ligt, then you're smoking some kind of substance that I don't want any part of. So that's the national thing put to bed, and I will get to the comments in a minute. Now, this conversation about didn't succeed at Juventus and Bayern Munich is also what everyone is doing online, and this is 90% of people. I'm not saying you guys are doing it, but what they're doing is they are copying and pasting an argument that says, "Well, Dyer starts ahead of him, so he must be shit," and everyone just like commenting that, because obviously when United sign a player, everyone hates them. The shit. They're the worst thing ever. And yeah, we need to bring this player down immediately. That's just like, it's like a Bluetooth signal that's sent out to a bunch of Liverpool and Arsenal fans and City fans. It's like, as soon as United sign a player, make sure you ridicule them. And someone actually put to me in TikTok before, you do the same if it was Liverpool. When Liverpool signed Konate, I was like, what a fucking signing that is. I would happily take him at United. So that's another one debunked. But just let's bring it back to Juventus and Bayern Munich. So Juventus at the time, again, guys in the chat, you'll know I've mentioned this before, but just to kind of, re-energize this, if you will. At Juventus at the time, he had 3 different coaches. Okay, he had Sarri, Pirlo, and I think Allegri in the space whilst he was there. There was a little bit of turmoil at Juventus. It was back and forth. There was no stability whatsoever. And he's spoken about his time at Juventus. He said, of course, if you then go to a team that has such legends in defence and in goal, obviously Chiellini, Buffon, and Bonucci, for a guy that's 19 years old, it might be a bit difficult at first to express yourself in the way you actually could. In a way, I was less myself. It's a completely different style of defending. At Ajax, you really press high. You take risks. At Juventus, it's more about what is behind you. In Italy, the pace of the leagues are also a bit slower. I came to Juventus with the idea of playing more attacking football. And like I said, I'm not going to absolutely gaslight De Ligt for the full thing. I'm not saying he's the perfect centre-back and he's going to be amazing for United. He's made mistakes. He's been a bit clumsy for Juventus at times. He can be a little bit slow on the turn. He's got things to work on. But let's not forget, he's 24 years old. 24 years old. That's almost like he's still a young player. He's younger than Sandro. And he's been at Ajax, Juventus, Bayern Munich, and now Manchester United. So he's played for the biggest clubs and won league titles, by the way, whilst he's been there. Now, for everyone, let's move it slightly over to Bayern Munich. Everyone who's going on about that and saying, Eric Dyer starts ahead of him, he can't be that good. Why does Dyer start ahead of him? He starts alongside Eric Dyer, first and foremost, as a partnership, and has done 14 out of 15 games, I think. So, again, that's a myth. And he's played more games than Eric Dyer in the league. and a similar amount to Kim Min-jae, who they just bought for 50 million quid. Is Kim Min-jae a terrible player? I don't think so. So sometimes it's a systematic thing, it's a coach thing, and also at Bayern Munich, it's been loads of instability, changing of coaches with Tuchel and company and a few others, and then all the shit that was going on upstairs as well with Bayern, where they got rid of a load of directors and they had to kind of pull out the full thing and scrap it and start again. Now, I was reading something before, so it's a fact. In Matthijs de Ligt's 2 seasons at Bayern, he started 61 games. Upamecano started 68. So just ignore that narrative that everyone's trying to poison your brain with, that he's basically a bench player, he never plays for Bayern, and Dyer's a well better centre-back, because, again, the smoking smirk, I don't know what it is. He was on the bench 8 times out of 73 games. So, say about that what you will. But that is another myth that has completely been debunked. Now, before we get to the rest, let's go to the comments. What are we saying, people? Legends of the chat. Thank you very much for joining me. Jay McGrogan, Callum Huddleston says Souness is a stinker. McMillan saying Souness getting the reaction out of us fans that he wants, hook, line, and sinker. I know what they're doing. I know this is TalkSport's model. They know all we need to do is get an emotional reaction out of a fan, and that is engagement, that is clicks, that is comments, that is everything that we want. So as long as we achieve that, then fine. But what happens is your reputation goes down the pan when you start having people on like fucking Graeme Souness, who's just have obviously fixed agendas. So yeah. He's lashing out and deflecting because his beloved Scouser Beach Ball Club has their first, if a quite a few, ropey seasons ahead. Like Souness gives us stuff to yam about, which gives us more stuff to moan about, which gives us more stuff to yarn about. TalkSport getting their scripted engagement. Exactly. Hello, Nick. Big up. DL had a bad manager in Bayern Munich. Is it de Ligt's birthday today? It is. He's 25. Souness has a bias agent. I don't know if you meant a gender against United. Yeah, of course he does. Of course he does. Also, people in the chat, let me know what you think about this fucking nonsense coming out of Souness's mouth. It's like he's each year. Everyone has a birthday each year, but it's like he's gone, you know what? Every time United sign a player in the summer window, what we're going to do is I'm just going to ridicule him, and I'm just going to say shit. Even though I've never ever watched him, I'm not familiar with his game whatsoever. I'm going to watch a couple of highlight clips from Ajax, or Juventus, should I say, and just pick out the bad games, and then that is what I'm going to base my opinion around on Matthijs de Ligt. And let's get a reaction out of United fans. And look, it's worked, obviously, because I'm enraged about it to a certain extent, but it's just because it's not like people are out there getting paid to spout this absolute garbage. And let's return to the garbage. So, compares De Gea to Onana and says the grass isn't always greener. Look, they wanted to bring in a player they formerly worked with, and that didn't work out. Now, with all due respect to David De Gea, I love him. I'm going to get into his quotes later on. He's a legend in my eyes for what he's done for the club. That aside, nobody in Europe wanted David De Gea. No one. He's been without a club for about a year or a year and a half, whatever it's been. He is not what modern teams want nowadays. He's signed for Fiorentina. He's on about 40k a week. So, you know, if he's this glorious keeper that everyone wanted and we shouldn't have got rid of, where were the teams coming in for him? There wasn't any. I still think his shot-stopping ability is obviously fantastic, but it is an all-around game. Or to any keeper in the Premier League, the majority of them are fantastic on the ball, and that is what we needed to bring in. Now, Onana was an opportunity. Now, obviously, he's worked with him before, and people don't like that kind of stance, but he was no doubt the best goalkeeper in the Champions League the season before we signed him. So it made sense. I don't think there was a person at the time. Well, there was ones who wanted to stick with De Gea and they were very loyal, and I understand that. But I think the majority of people was like, I get it. We do need a ball-playing centre-back. You saw the mistakes that David De Gea made at times in this team against Sevilla, against Everton, against West Ham, that Ben Rama shot. If you watch the FA Cup final when we lost to City initially, for that full 90 minutes, De Gea was just booting it long, losing it, booting it long, losing it. They'd retain possession, and we couldn't get a foothold in the game. So it made sense at the time. I didn't understand that kind of thing. So to say, well, you know, they got rid of De Gea and Onana. Onana had a very rocky start, and I was one of the first ones to say, after he made that mistake in the Champions League against Galatasaray, twice, by the way, for ZX's free kicks, I was like, get rid of him. This guy is so error-prone. Rocky 6 months. I think the second half of the season, he was really, really good and made some amazing saves. So, as far as I'm concerned right now, I'm happy with Onana. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'm in the minority. I'm not sure. And then the last one. The last quote. He said, I think, not Simon Jordan, fucking, what's his name? Off Sky Sports. Sky Sports News. Fuck, what's his name? Grey hair. Oh my God, what's his name? I'm not even going to look at the comments because I need to get this myself. It is a brain itch. Simon Jordan and... Oh my God, that is annoying. What's his name? Fuck. Right, I'm going to have to go to the comments. Sorry, I can't. Jim White, thank you. Thank you. My God. How I didn't remember that. Jim White, Slow Sports, Sky Sports News. So what do you say to that, Simon? He is a shit stirrer, innit? Basically, when Jim White's on the camera, his job is to be in between. Even if it's anyone against Simon Jordan, he's basically 2 versus 1. Because he'll just be like, yeah, well, he didn't say that, did he, Simon? And he'll just push and poke and prod. I can't remember my initial point now. Oh, yeah, so he basically said to him, so, do you think, I'm trying to get a quote out of him, so, Graeme, do you think Newcastle will finish above Man United then? And then obviously he goes on to say, I think they will. I think they will. I think, you know, blah, 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 goes on, and again, logic in that, you would think, so we finished a similar position. Obviously, we got into Europe because of the FA Cup, but us, Newcastle and Chelsea, around a similar area last season. We've gone and signed 4 players, Yoro, De Ligt, Mazraoui, and Xerxes. Newcastle have yet to even sign 1 player. Yes, they may be without Champions League football, but again, then it's just to sit there and say, like, yeah, Newcastle will finish above him. It's his opinion, he's entitled to it, but I believe the majority of the shit he says is just ill-informed and nonsense. So that question was just bizarre and had absolutely no relation to De Ligt, but TalkSport are going to do what TalkSport does. So, the question pending, what some people might throw to us, is why do Bayern Munich want to sell him if he's such a good player? Why do Bayern Munich want to sell him? First and foremost, Bayern Munich had 70,000 fans who wanted to keep him. They signed a petition to keep hold of the player. So that shows you what they think of him. Bayern also wanted to revamp by any means necessary. So with them not winning the league and not making the Champions League final, they wanted to make some big adjustments, basically. And he was like, right, we need to tear this up and we need to start fresh and we need to bring a load of signings in and we need to get rid of a load of players. And they're also trying to get rid of Goretzka and players like Kimmich as well, who've been there for ages. And then kind of mirroring that, Matthijs de Ligt wants to be that guy, wants to be the leader, and wants to have full trust in him that he's going to be the starting centre-back every single game. And Bayern Munich did not want to give him that status. So he was like, okay, well, I'm going to look elsewhere. And Bayern were like, well, we're happy to do that as long as we get the right price. Also, the difference, the kind of comparisons that people are making with Rafael Varane and Casemiro, Varane picked up a lot more injuries than De Ligt did. De Ligt had a huge injury at Juventus. I think it was like shoulder surgery. But apart from that, he misses 5 to 6 games for Bayern at a time sometimes. He misses a bit, but he's a centre-back who's very physical. Although Souness will tell you he's lightweight. Who's going to pick up knocks like that. It's a modern game. It happens all the time. He's got plenty of years to develop. 24. I keep mentioning that. 24 years old. Technically 5-6 years off his prime for a centre-back. So just chill out, man. Everyone just relax yourselves. Obviously, the team's going to need to do well around him for him to be successful. You can't just expect him to come in and make the backline immediately solid. You need Lissandro to stay fit alongside him. You need a consistent back four in front. How that happens when you have players like Luke Shaw, Malacia, constantly injured, I don't know. But you need, if you have Onana, Dalot, De Ligt, Lissandro and Shaw constantly for 90% of your games, there is going to be such a big difference there. Don't forget, the season under Ten Hag, when we had De Gea, who was it? De Gea, Maguire, De Gea, Varane, Lissandro, sorry, and then Dalot and Shaw, for the most part, we got the Golden Glove. We kept the most clean sheets in the league. I would argue the ones that were bringing in an upgrade on that. So, yeah, I think it's going to do well. I think, like I said, it's going to be an adjustment period. He's 38 million quid, so it's not like Antony. There was a huge risk of Antony because, like, right, you've gone and spent 85 million pound on this player now. So there's a massive, massive price tag on him. There's huge pressure. He's on £200,000 a week. It's a panic buy at the end of the window. And obviously that's not gone well. So people will reference that when they're talking about Matthijs de Ligt. But de Ligt has much more promise than Antony did. And he's more than half the price for it. 38 million quid for de Ligt. That's what we're looking at. And we'll still have a sell on. So it's no way near as big as a risk. Don't let anyone try fucking push you into that. It's absolute nonsense. Right, back into the comments. What we saying? I'll come to TikTok comments as well, so get your opinions in. Joshua Rowan saying, Gabio, Bonglehorse, Simon Jordan and Souness talk absolute crap about United. McMillan says, Lions don't concern themselves with opinions of sheep. When you look at Onana's stats last season compared to De Gea's last season, he's better. Yes, I agree, Onana was not great first 6 months, but after that, he's been good. Alex saying, David De Gea had a mistake in him as well. He was just a ridiculous class at shot stopping. Josh Rowan saying 25 today. That's in reference to De Ligt. And does anyone know De Ligt and Mazraoui's wages? Well, De Ligt took a pay cut to join United, but he was on a hefty wage at Bayern. So I think he was on £260,000 a week at Bayern Munich. So maybe around 200,000, I'm guessing. I'm literally speculating. I don't know. Mazraoui equally on 140 at Bayern. So what? Similar, I'm guessing. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I think those details will be released soon, if not already, by a Romano or someone like that. So, yeah, just to give you some accolades with Matthijs de Ligt as well. Let's not forget this. Golden Boy 2018, or 19 it may have been, for Ajax, which no centre-back has ever won before. Obviously, Juventus invested big money in him. Bayern invested big money in him because they know his potential. He is legit. Again, people might not like this, but legit one of the centre-backs with the most potential on the planet, if he was to fulfill it. He's been the best defender in the league for Bayern at times, but he's also been inconsistent, and he's been on the bench. It's not been all sunshine and rainbows, but it hasn't with a lot of our players. Lissandro, it's not all been sunshine and rainbows. He's had injuries and he's been out. And there's been a couple of inconsistencies, but for the most part, he's really, really good. With De Ligt as well, similar, very good in possession, can progress play. He's a traditional defender. Loves these kind of aerial and ground duels that I was alluding to before. Loves getting stuck in. Loves getting touch tight. And you need that. You need that. And I think just general kind of, you look at the system, and I mentioned this in the members video that we dropped this morning. When you have players like De Ligt in there in your role, it makes such a difference, because when you're going from Maguire and Evans, you, one, aren't the most agile, and two, aren't the quickest. You put them in that back line, teams can just kill you with pace if you're trying to play a high line. When you have Euro, who's so good at defending spaces and so good 1v1, and De Ligt, who's smart tactically and is a leader and can organise that back line, it makes a huge difference, and you will see that. Maybe not in the first couple of weeks, but when he integrates into the squad, he'll be a good player for us. I'm absolutely convinced of that. People may not think it. He may not work out. Let's see what happens. We've got a few weeks now for him to kind of get in. The medicals, I believe, are completed. Or it was either the first part of the medicals have been completed. Something along the line of that. Let me double check just to see the most recent update. The double transfer with De Ligt and Mazraoui is not expected to be announced tonight, so we're probably looking at tomorrow now. But they have done media duties. I'm excited to listen to the interview that De Ligt's done and hear him talk, because no doubt we'll probably be asked about his past experiences. So yeah, I'm interested to see that interview, but that's all done and dusted. Medical's pretty much done and signed by tomorrow. So yeah, let's see how they get on. I just wanted to address those Graeme Souness comments, because I just thought, oh my God, he's talking shit again before the season started. Got proven wrong on Lissandro, him and Jamie Carragher. Got proven wrong on Casemiro in his first season, and he's going to get proven wrong again. If anything, you can take it as an omen that he's going to be a good player whenever they talk shit about him. So, fantastic. Keep doing it if they turn out to be the players that we see. Sorry for bad English. I'm eating. That's absolutely fine. No problem at all, mate. Shall we move on? Because I've been ranting about Graeme Souness for 25 minutes, and that's more than enough airtime to give him. So, let's talk about Dominic Calvert Lewin, because, again, we've been linked with him. Him and Ivan Toney keep getting pushed. Where do you think Martinez will play when Euro is fit? Left centre-back. Him and De Ligt will be the main senior centre-backs, and Euro will get around 20 to 30 games and grow slowly into the squad. I think that's how they're going to do it. But, you know, we could have a big injury to Lissandro again, and Euro becomes the main figure, and he's ready for that step up. So I'm not worried about that. On Calvert-Lewin, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is one of the number of forwards discussed by Manchester United. As it stands, not a priority position, and United unlikely to reinforce in that area unless there are sales. 1 second. Well, let's just discuss hypothetical transfers for a moment. If we do make sales, let's say Lindelof goes, McTominay goes, Hannibal Mabry goes, and let's say Sancho, let's say. Very, very unlikely. I'd say probably 2 out of them would go max. But let's say you do make a big sale like a Jadon Sancho, you've got 40, 50 million quid in the pan there, in the pot, should I say, not in the pan. You don't want to burn your money. Do you look at someone like a Calvert-Lewin? or an Ivan Toney? What do you think? Should you go for someone like that? I know we've kind of had this conversation before and spoken about whether Toney would kind of ruin the harmony of the squad a little bit. You need to put trust in Højlund. Calvert Lewin, I think, is slightly different because, one, again, he's more injury prone than Ivan Toney. So, no doubt he'll probably miss a few games. Although, actually, he did play more minutes than Højlund last season, which I was mind blown. I couldn't believe it. So, he will be available, but not as much as Toney. So, I think there'd be less pressure if you brought someone in like that. But, again, are they worth 40, 50 million quid? You know, if Brentford lower their price for 40, 50, I'd definitely go for Ivan Toney. That's not even a question in my head. But I think the price-wise would be interesting. But it keeps getting mentioned. Sky Sports are mentioning it. Laurie Witt. I mean, I did a show about Ivan Toney about a week and a half ago saying that, you know, everyone's discrediting it and playing it down. But that is definitely something that could happen towards the end of the window. I'm just putting my hat in the ring there and saying that it could happen for sure. But yeah, Calvert Lewin, what we're saying. McMillan's saying Dominic Calvert Lewin to be in training in a dress. Jesus. He has got some mad clubber, hasn't he, Calvert Lewin? Some of the stuff he wears is just absolutely nuts. A Saudi club has put Toney as their top target. I can't see Toney going Saudi. Can't see it. Jamie McGregor saying Calvert Lewin and Toney are not of the same quality. I agree, mate. I agree. Calvert Lewin, not for me. Too many injuries. If we can get Toney for 35, defo get him. I think teams are waiting to the end of the window to strike, so Brentford are desperate because they'll say to him last couple of days, 35, 40 mil, and they'll be like, no, it's worth more than that. It's like, well, you're gonna lose him for free next year, so you either take the 35 million now, or we'll just wait and get him on a free next season, and that's the difficult position that Brentford are in. Ashley is saying, how do you think Solanke will do? Well, when we did the big preview yesterday, we had me, Adam, Aaron, Chivy and Sam on, and all of them think Solanke's going to flop at Spurs. I think it'd be all right. I think it'd be a good signing for him. I don't think he'll be putting up the numbers like 20-odd goals, but I think 15 to 20 he could probably get realistically. He's got Son alongside him. You've got Kulusevski. You've got Maddison. You've got some creative players in there, don't forget, who will be supplying him. So I think he'll definitely get 15 to 20 goals. But again, who am I? It's just my opinion. Didn't someone report today that Wheatley going to be kept in the first team squad? Yeah, he'll be our third striker, technically. And the youngster who we bought from Arsenal, hello if there's any Arsenal fans in the chat, Chido Obi Martin will be kind of reserves pushing into the first team. That's the idea for him and the pathway. Toney going to make big coin on the bookies in Saudi, match made in heaven. Solanke not going to do much. He's not worth 65 mil. No way. I think he'll, you know, look, whether he's worth 65 mil or not, Spurs have been stung like that before, haven't they? They bought Richarlison for 60 mil and he's just dog shit. He's just a shit player. I've never rated him. So it could turn out to be the same thing. I actually think Solanke, I've just mentioned, creativity lines, I think he'll get fed quite a lot. More so than he does at Bournemouth. But it's a bigger club. There's more pressure, I suppose. Tougher games, in a sense, with like Europa League and stuff. So we'll see what he's made of. But I don't think it's going to be a flop. I just think maybe, you know, somewhere in between with Solanke. But I like him as a player. But then that's kind of setting the benchmark, isn't it? They've signed Solanke, a young British striker. I don't know if he's young, actually. Was he like 26, 25, 26? Similar to Ivan Toney, but Toney's got a year left on his deal. That's the difference. So keep an eye on Toney. Remember, I keep saying this. Keep an eye on him. I'm not saying it for no reason. Now, on to outgoings. Scott Mctominay, people. Scott McTominay could be the one to watch before... This is from Sky Sports again. Scott McTominay could be the one to watch before the transfer deadline. As it stands, Fulham are not expecting to go back in for McTominay. Galatasaray are interested, but I've yet to get close to United's valuation, which, shock, happens all the fucking time. We'll give you 10 mil plus 2 in add-ons if he plays 50 games in a row. And he could tie his lace. We'll give you an extra 500 grand. Like, these offers are just ridiculous from Galatasaray. I don't even know why they're putting... You know, if you're bidding for a house, it's like they've openly watched us, our house get rejected for £200,000 and they're putting in 120k and being like, oh, fingers crossed, let's see if we get him. So I don't think Galatasaray are going to anywhere close to it, offering things like 13 million. Take 25... Bring a primary midfield target in, please, for the love of God, someone like a Nuarte. and then bring in a Rabiot or an Amrabat if you've got a little bit of wiggle room. Because not only do we just need a 6, I think you need a 6 and then like a depth signing as well. So if you don't get both of them, if you don't get a midfielder like a Ugarte in, I'm nowhere near as excited for the season. If you bring him in, I'm like, okay, we can work with that. Ugarte, Yoro, Ligt, Xerxes. Fantastic window. Fantastic window. But again, it's a struggle to sell players. McTominay isn't as bad because the usual trouble we have is the wages. McTominay's wages aren't that much. And it's great because he's an academy player, so we get all the profit and it looks good on the books. And what you can do then to utilise is we don't need McTominay really. We need his goals for sure. You know, he scores 10 goals. Like, you know, that gets you a lot of points. So that's his selling point. But what I'm saying is we need a defensive midfielder much more than we need McTominay off the bench scoring a goal. A lot more. Or even cover as an 8 as well. Like we could do with something there just to give Cobby a rest. I know Mount can play there, but I'm not necessarily convinced about Mount and Bruno on the same team. Unless it's that false 9 kind of system. So I think you need to go and get a defensive midfielder and you need to get another midfielder alongside him. And if we don't do that, there is still, what's that famous quote they always say? Nothing changes, nothing changes. If you don't bring in a midfielder, we are going to have the same issues that you see all the time, week in, week out with Casemiro. And don't forget, we have more games this season. There's more games to play. So it's more relentless. So who's to say we're not going to pick up even more injuries? Erik ten Hag said in one of his press conferences, it's survival of the fittest. Do you know what I mean? Survival of the fittest. And that is exactly what it's going to be. I think you will get a big chunk of injuries again. Because some of our players are injury prone. Luke Shaw, Malacia certainly seems it. Casemiro picks up hamstring from time to time. He's not getting any younger. And the forward line, the wingers always get little knocks here or there, like Rashford. Højlund, again, injured out for 6 weeks. Our new signing, for God's sake, is out for 3 months already. And he's hardly even kicked a ball in pre-season. Majaru was spotted limping, and he's only just got to Carrington. So this curse is real, man, I'm telling you. He's not been announced because we have to agree a compensation fee for Chido. And also, I think the Premier League have to ratify it, don't they? Yeah. Chido's going to be the third choice striker. He's going to be available for the academy. Who's that young Atletico striker that just fell through its arse with Chelsea? Parma to United next summer now that Felix is coming. Yeah, so basically the situation that's happened with Chelsea, I think in the contract that they offered, I don't know the lad's name, I have to be honest, but the striker from Atletico Madrid, who they was getting, and then Conor Gallagher was basically going the other way. In the contract, I believe it was something like they said they wanted up to 50% of his image rights, I think. Something along the lines of that, and he was insulted by that and said, fuck that, I'm not moving there. And then changed his mind, basically, effectively, which has a domino effect on loads of deals. So they're kind of scrambling about now, and apparently they're going to get João Felix, who's just a completely different player. So Chelsea, again, reactionary. You can't tell me João Felix was in the plans. They've just gone, oh shit, what are we going to do? We need to sell Gallagher. We've had João Felix before, let's go and get him. So that to me was just absolutely crazy. Dancing, let's get Ugarte in and top it off. Tony coming in would be great. I really want Scott to stay. Get rid of Eriksen, Sancho. Get Berg and Fofana for the price of Ugarte. Go massive for Wharton next summer. Ugarte won't stick about like he is now at PSG if Wharton comes in. Berg won't mind being a squad player. Jay saying, I like Eriksen, but him and Casemiro are peddling the same boat. And that boat is just basically going from one point to the other really, really slow. Berg and Fofana, 2 players for the price of 1. Elite baller. Berg not in Burnley squad tonight. Interesting. And you're all pronouncing Sander Berg's name wrong. I've told you this. It's Sander Turd. So, yeah. Please can we at least, announce his name correctly. Last story I'm going to discuss with you guys. David De Gea. A couple of quotes coming out from him. Got me a bit teary, I'm not going to lie. Of course, he's just moved to his new club now, Fiorentina. Really, really happy for him. And he got asked about United and the situation there. He said, United is a top club and my heart will always be there. I never thought about retiring. It was just difficult to find motivations for a new chapter after 12 years at a top club like United. And I finally felt that at Fiorentina. So it's obviously taken that hit quite hard, hasn't it? I think he definitely would have been upset, He strikes me as a guy to be a bit emotional behind closed doors, De Gea. And I think that the way it happened, and I agree it was wrong, the way they dealt with that situation was just fucking terrible. Absolutely terrible. For a guy who I think a lot of people consider him as a club legend, I think it was shocking, his treatment. And obviously I wish him all the best. I did think at the time it was time to move on. I did want a more modern goalkeeper. Thank you for your service. You will always be a legend in my eyes. I think some of the years that he had, where he's like 4 Player of the Years in a row. I don't think it was in a row, sorry. But he got like 3 or 4 of those awards. Some of the saves he pulled off. I remember a free kick from Juan Mata. Insane. Absolutely insane. And there's loads. The performance against Arsenal, where DT famously says, "Fucking hell, man, De Gea could save the fucking Titanic." Yeah, he had some top performances, but so it's just time to move on for some players, man. It's just the way the football can be cruel to some of the best players. It really, really can. Look at Ronaldo when Ronaldo came back, fairy tale. Everyone loved it. Ended in a complete fucking disaster. That's just football. But I definitely do wish them all the best. I didn't even like slandering De Gea before, but I thought that comment about Onana was just absolutely shocking. They all need to eat what, and Bruno eats poo when Bruno eats poo. Okay. Takes better. Weghorst on the bench for Burnley. Sander Turd and Rio Turd in hand. I wish David well, says Richard. Charlie saying Souness is almost wetting his pants by the business United have done compared to his lovely Liverpool. That's what I'm saying. We're up there, really. When you look at the rest of the teams in the market at the minute, I mean, Chelsea are just like a mad toddler in Asda, just throwing everything in the trolley. I think us, West Ham, trying to think who else have done really, really good business off the top of my head. Us, West Ham, Spurs have made some good signings. Archie Gray, Solanke. I think they made another one as well. I think we've actually done really well. I think it's a good window. You get a midfielder in on top of that, that's an 8 out of 10 window. Easy. Yoro, Ligt, Xerxes, Mazraoui, and then Uarte. Top window, that. Top window. And then if you can get the outgoings on top of that, great. Even better. I'll give you an 8.5 out of 10. I think that's a really good window. City, although they probably will at some point, haven't signed fuck all. They signed that Slovenia, haven't they? Whatever his name is. Well, apart from that, they've done no business. Arsenal have only signed Calafiore. Chelsea, like I said, just I don't know what they're doing. Newcastle haven't even signed a player yet. I know they're I know they're pretty close with that Gay, which will be a very good signing, and I would have taken him at United, but they haven't signed one player yet. So we've strengthened significantly in comparison to the rest of the teams. So from that stance, I think we've done well. Got over losing your first trophy this season. Do you even call it a trophy? Does anyone even class the Community Shield as a trophy? Because I certainly don't. Don't give a fuck. I took more positives out of that game than being negative about that City game. I thought, yeah, there's loads. Individuals, Ahmad, Garnacho, Mount, Bruno, all look really, really bright. I thought the way we pressed as a collective was really, really good. I thought the way we shifted the ball at times, like we can hurt teams in transitions, like deadly. So that part of the pitch is right. I just think defensively we need to shore up, and when Ligt comes in, that's definitely going to help. Right, let's have a look. What we saying? Marky, yes, Mark. What did he say about Onana? He basically said, what was it now? He said, well, everyone wanted De Gea gone. So he was using it as like a comparison, basically, to Ligt, saying that because he's a former Ajax player and he's coming in and everyone thought that'd be great. He said about Onana, you know, he's worked with Ten Hag before. Everyone wanted rid of De Gea, and then when you look at that situation, the grass isn't always greener. But like I said, like Onana's second half of the season has been really, really good. Some people don't like him. I get it. He is a little bit unorthodox in some things that he does, and doesn't help himself with like the penalty shootouts. But yeah. Charlie Malman saying Villa, West Ham, Spurs, and United have done good business. I do not know what Chelsea is doing. Jay McGregor saying we've got injuries already. I want to know what Bruno does different, and the rest should mimic that. Bruno is just a machine, mate. There's just nothing you can say about Bruno. He has Weetabix and Monster for his breakfast. The kid is relentless. Wasn't that an energy drink as well? Villa, West Ham, Spurs, and United have done good business. I do not know what Chelsea is doing. I think I already read that out. Please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you very much, Richard. Yeah, we're on 6,404 subs. So if it's anyone in TikTok who's not subscribed to Real Reds Talk, come and join our community. It's growing every single day. I'm happy with our signing so far. Just need to get rid of 3 or 4 now, mate. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Absolutely. Don't forget Cheeto in case it's Arsenal fans lurking. Yeah. Obviously. No, it's not a trophy. We had loads of positive from the game to take into Friday against Fulham. If Tony stays, we can get him for 3 mil plus add-ons in Jan. Joshua Owen saying it was gutting in my view as I was in the stadium that they scored late, but I didn't care about winning the game. We were the better side after the first 25 minutes. Exactly. It's context. You can take positives from it for sure. And I think Fulham would be a good game on Friday as well. I'm glad we're opening the Premier League. I can't remember the last time when we did that. So, really, really excited. And we've got so many things this week. Just for the last 5 minutes, I'll do 45 minutes today. Any questions, whether it's football-related or non-football-related, same thing with TikTok, get them in. Any questions whatsoever, we'll have a conversation for sure. But yeah, just very quickly, this week, so we are recording an interview in the morning tomorrow. So, it's not going to be a live. It's going to be a pre-record with a guest that we've been trying to get on for a bit. I'm really excited about that one. We then have, obviously, the Fulham preview at some point. I think it'll probably be Wednesday. We're then going to release the members video that we dropped this morning for public in the next couple of days. The 2 lives a day that we do anyway. And then you've got your watch-along for Friday night when we open the Premier League season, which is going to be very, very exciting. So, if you're not subscribed yet and you've not liked the video and you're not part of the Real Red Ultra community, make sure you hit that button. And if you want to become a part of the membership, click join button next to the notification bell. It's like 50 members strong now or something. I think somewhere around that. So we're trying to get to the 100 mark and get a big fucking squad of us in as the Real Red Ultras. So yeah, legends to you guys who already support the channel. You know who you are. Appreciate you. Right. Last few questions. Elite Baller, who do you want us to sign for midfield and who do you think we will sign? For midfield, Uwate. I think I look at the way we set up, how direct we are, how much space we leave. I said months ago we could do with a N'Golo prototype. N'Golo Kante, I mean, like we could do with someone like him. Obviously not go and get him now because he's in the Saudi League, and probably on about £1 million a week. But I think we need Uwate, someone who covers a lot of grass, who gets stuck in, he's aggressive. He'll put in a shift for Cobbe so Cobbe can concentrate on his own game. And he's pretty good on the ball as well. He gets it, he gives it, plays vertical passes. No-nonsense kind of player. That is who I would go for personally. Everyone knows I've always had this long affiliation with Tony as well. Not Tony. De Jong. I don't know where Tony came from. Tony in midfield, imagine that. It was gutting in my view as I was... Oh, sorry, I read that out. Bruno goes to dinner with 3 Long Park. Both of them can run forever and don't get hurt. Something in Park South Korean meals. Does Lance Armstrong have something to do with it? Maybe. Speculation there. How's Sam? He's okay, I think. He's all right at the minute. Yeah. I haven't really spoke to him since we did the show, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure he's okay. And giving him time to not do a show and just focus on other things is good. Blazing Zari says, any hash in the gaff? Not anymore, mate. I quit smoking weed about, what? Wow, long time ago. Long time. Probably 10 years ago now or something, I'd say. I gave up smoking weed. Do you think Casemiro will turn it around, mate? No. No, Casemiro's done. Dan Fenton, is it too late for the Nate the Great? No, Casemiro ain't turn it around. I'd be astonished if he turned back into the player he was when we first signed him. I just don't see it. I think with this system as well, because we've gone more attacking and more high press and more risk taking, I just think it just doesn't suit his wheelhouse whatsoever. Actually, I think if you put Casemiro in a more pragmatic system and have people to protect him and runners alongside him, I think he'd probably be all right. But just in our system, he looks lost. He looks like he's in the middle of an ocean without a fucking oar or a life jacket or anything. Who was your man of the match versus City? Because he meet with Casemiro. I think I said Bruno. Garnacho really got off the bench. Ahmad had a great cameo. So take your pick out of any one of them. I'd go for personally. A massive season for Ahmad, by the way. Huge season. How many goals will Rude score this season? Listen, when we were taking them penalties and Johnny Evans, I promise you this right now, when Johnny Evans stepped up and when Sancho stepped up, I said to my mates at the time, they are fucking missing. They're missing it. Sancho, because of past experiences, just had no faith whatsoever, and he didn't look confident. And Johnny Evans' run-up was like, do you know when you're in school and you need a shit, and you're like, kind of doing that fast walk / jog to the toilet? I used to do it in the teacher's toilet because it was like, I don't want to go in. The bogs at my school were just something out of, I can't even say because I'll probably get banned, but they were shocking anyway, let's put it that way. It was like urinals in a cubicle. They were just awful and hanging and stunk. So I always went to the teachers once, but anyway, that's a different story for a different day. Why did I say that? Oh yeah, Johnny Evans' fast walk / run up to the penalty spot. I was like, oh Jesus Christ. And I was looking at Rudy on the side. I was like, oh God, I bet he could still take a fucking great penalty, can't he? I bet he's still very, very good at it. If you could have just snuck him on the pitch, put a kit on him, that would have been all right. But obviously, can't do that. Good tell, we asked about him when you do for us lot, Nick. Oh, yeah, of course I will. Of course I will, Jay, yeah. How many goals and assists do you think Xerxes will get? I think he could... I don't know. I don't want to put too much expectation on Xerxes because I think everyone's expecting the world from him, like 20-plus goals, and he's just not that kind of striker. At Bologna last season, in all comps, he had 12 goals and 7 assists, I think it was. So if you can get similar to that, 10 goals, 5 assists, and that's a real expectation for Xerxes. But it just depends how long it takes for him to adapt, what role he plays in as well. Obviously, has a huge play, because the guy is that good technically. He could play on the wing, he could play as a 10, false 9 on the right. He could play all across that front line. Sancho doesn't want to be here, and Evans thought he's playing rugby. Sancho needs to go ASAP and Trashford. That's from Blazing Zara. And Elite Baller says, how do you feel Ineos have done up to this point? I don't barely put a foot wrong, really. When you think about it, barely put a foot wrong. Everything, I think as United fans, when we sat here, and when whoever the new owners should come in, whether it was Qatar or whether it was Ineos, I think we all sat here as a collective and said, these are the things that we want, and these are the things that need to improve. One, we need to take a look at the stadium, because it's rotten, and just has been for years. It's had a lick of paint in like 15 years. It's crazy. Two, the facilities like Carrington. You saw the interview with Ronaldo when he was talking about the jacuzzi. Everything's still the same. They haven't updated in any shape or form. So that was another thing that we wanted. The women's team needed focusing on, and I think they're just starting to do that now. Obviously, that's growing day by day. Transfer recruitment was probably arguably the biggest one. Scouting was another thing as well that you need to sort out. A structure, a competent structure above, who knew what they was doing. Get a team of professionals in rather than a load of clowns like Richard Arnold and Murta and Ed Woodward. They brought in Omar Barada, who was like just below the CEO, I think, at Man City, and now he's the CEO for us. Dan Ashworth, who his track record at England, West Brom, Brighton, really, really good and strong, good character. Jason Wilcox, another one, fantastic. He was kind of with Omar Barada, or worked with Omar Barada at City, and brought through the likes of Oscar Bob, Phil Foden, Cole Palmer. So they've got the right people in there, first and foremost. They've communicated with the fans, which is, like, we've been asking that for years. And it's simple. I just put a message out there to the fans saying, we're going to consult with you. We're going to work with you. Because, let's be honest, what the fuck would a game be? That same motorbike every night, man. Honestly. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But yeah, what would a game be without fans? You saw it during COVID. It's nothing. The fans are the lifeblood of football club. And that's why you make your money. Where it's online, in stadiums, through merch. Whatever way you look at it, on tours. Your fans are your lifeblood and soul of the club. So just communicating with them in a pure sense is nice from Ineos, and that's what you needed. Not only just that, everything else. Look, some people disagree with the kind of financial changes that they've made and stuff, and I get it in terms of sacking people and getting rid of people. And they've almost been forced to do that because of how bad the Glazers have just treated it financially and taking dividends out constantly and fucking up transfers and spending a load of money where they don't need to. So that they've sorted out as well. Look, there's so many things. I could be here for a million years and talk about all the coaching staff that they brought in. Ruud van Nistelrooy, Rene Hack, asking the coach what he needs alongside him. What do you need to succeed? Just implementing every little bit. And Dave Brailsford's, one of the first things I ever read about him, his philosophy is small margins. And little things, when you start to increase everything as a collective, it slowly but surely gets up to 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%. And that's the trajectory I feel like we're on at the moment. Now, that could very quickly turn upside down on its head if we start having bad performances again at the start of the season. but it feels positive as I sit here right now and I look at the work that they've done. I think they've done really well since they've come in. And I was the one at first who wanted 100%. I wanted them completely gone. And I thought Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos were kind of throwing the Glazers a lifeline a little bit. But no one's even fucking speaking about the Glazers now. Obviously, we all still want them out, but no one's talking about them because the work Ineos are doing on the football side. Naturally, if you get football things flowing and going really, really good again, the money's going to make itself anyway. So that should always be a priority, United. Football first, and then you'll make your money. Don't even worry about that. So, yeah, quite a long-winded answer, but hopefully that explains my opinion. Punch Paint saying, up real Red Star. Thank you very much, mate. Joshua Owen saying, who do you think will be the next Academy graduate except Collier and Amas? Oh, sticky one. Who do I think? Shea Lacer, maybe? I think. From what I've watched of him. Looks like a nifty player. Nifty? Why have I just used the word nifty to describe a player? He looks tricky. If we're to bring in one more striker, who would your option be? Mine would be Tony. Out of the ones that are available on the market at the minute, Tony. For sure. But I'm 50-50. I'm on the fence. Come back to me in a few weeks' time and I'll ask me about Tony. You absolute legend, bro. Cheers, home. We love this channel. Love this community. Can't wait to smash Fulham. I love yous all as well. You're all there. I know you weren't calling me a legend. You were calling Richard a legend, but I appreciate yous. At school, I put little stones in my teacher's air caps on his motorbike during break time. Next day, both wheels were flat and he couldn't come to school. Listen, everyone's a rebel when they're little. I think anything from 18 and under in anyone's life should just be scrapped off on a permanent basis. That's what I think. Want to see Collier, Amas, and Dan Gore. Yeah, Dan Gore obviously had shoulder surgery in it, so it's going to take him a while to kind of get back up to speed. The last time I heard about the Glazers was a chant at Wembley. If you hate the Glazers, stand up. Yeah, they'll always be there. You know, Malcolm's in a box, da 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 da. You know, the chants are always going to be there. And we'll always want the Glazers out if we know. But I'm just saying, it seems like the pressure's gone off them slightly because Ineos have come in and done more in 3 months or 6 months than the Glazers have done in 20 years. So I think they've done well. How are you, mate? I'm good, thank you, Raja. I don't know if you was asking me or someone in the chat, but if you are asking me, I'm good. And hopefully you're well. Thank you for asking. Appreciate that. And that's like one of the first times someone just said, rather than a comment about football, just gone, how are you? I mean, that's quite nice. I'm okay at the minute. I'm okay. I'm doing what I love right now, so I'm always happy when I'm doing this. Nick, you're legendary, bro. Show us your tattoos. I've only got 2. Have I got 2? I just think then. Yeah, I've only got 2, but I've got... If I can see it on camera. Oh. So, I have... I don't know if you can see that. Again, you can't see it on TikTok, but... So, that's the Joker. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, although I do prefer... whatchamacallit? I do prefer Heath Ledger's Joker. That's like my favourite film ever, Dark Knight. So, that is... I can't really show it properly, but yeah, that's Joaquin Phoenix as a Joker. And then you've got, like... headphones, because I love music, and then you've got Tupac lyrics from Hail Mary. So that's what's cracking there, in case you're wondering. I know it's a bit bizarre, but yeah, it's just basically I always said that I to get a tattoo and to get a sleeve and stuff. It's not a sleeve yet. I need to do this part. I'm just going to get things on my arm that I love. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, people didn't see it in thingy then. For anyone who gives a shit, yeah, there's tattoos that I was thinking basically. So yeah, I've always just said if I'm going to get something inked permanently on my body, I just want it to be something that I love. And I love the film The Joker, one of my favourite films ever. I thought Joaquin Phoenix was unbelievable in that. Kind of the psychology of the film as well, really, really good. And then music, I got that done by an Italian artist for like 50 quid, that on my arm. So I was like, dot work as well, no brainer. And I used to listen to Tupac like heavily. So I got Hail Mary lyrics on my arm. Again, a very long explanation. Apologies. McMillan saying, Nick, what is the plan with the wall, bro, Sif? Yeah, so I've been back and forth with it a little bit. I kind of lied a little bit and said it would be done by the end of this week or last week, I think it was. But I'm 50-50. I'm going back and forth. So I'm thinking with this wall, and you guys let me know what you think. Getting some, because I think this colour goes well with like chrome features. You know, like rose gold chrome features. So I'm thinking about getting either like a big one behind me like a rose gold chrome picture frame with that picture of Ahmad, Højlund, Garnacho and Kobe as like a big thing, or the one with just, where they sat on the board, doing that like a giant piece, and then having some kind of light features and other little bits. I don't know, to be honest, I'm not great at designing things, I never have been. So I'm open to interpretation. What I'd actually love to do, and this is a bit of a weird idea, and I don't know if we've got enough people to do it, but maybe someone sign something. So anyone who's like in the Real Red Ultra community or in the chat, sign something, or send a picture in, or not a picture of yourself. You can do that if you want, but just something like that where you can put it together, a bit of like, is it a collage you call it? And add that in a frame. That'd be pretty cool. Because I think some of you haven't been with us from the start when we did the channel. We started the channel 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I think it is. And it's been a lot of work and grind gone into it, and shows every single day, and things that people don't even see behind closed doors. Like, and we've done quite well for what we've achieved. We've had some massive guests on. We've had like Laurie Whitwell on, early doors as well. That was like a massive thing for us. We've had Kieran Maguire, Jonathan Schrager, and we've done shows on Stretford Paddock, like watch-alongs and other kind of little bits. Been on the radio. We've done loads and loads of things, loads of cool things, man. And like I said before, we've got another guest on in the morning. So it's been, I don't even know why I'm explaining this, but it's been a long journey to get where we are, and to get some, finally get some recognition and have a community and people who care about what we put out. That was always the aim. So whether it's 30 people in the chat or 1 million people in the chat, as long as there's some consistency and just, we're doing it for someone who's actually interested in watching the content, I'm happy. That's my happiness, you know what I mean? Heath Ledger's Joker was very nice. I'm going to wrap it up in a minute, by the way, because it's nearly at the hour mark, but I thought I'd answer the things. There's now 11 players who joined United under Ten Hag with Eredivisie experience. Is that you, Lockhurst? My tattoos are also stuff I love, music, lyrics. Yeah. It's the best thing to get in it. Some people just want to get a fucking penguin on the arm just because they think penguins, like, each to their own. But yeah, I'm gonna say my goodbye now, gents. You know who you lot are. Have a good evening, fellas. Big up, Jay. Come with me if you want to ride or die. Hail Mary, come with me. I've actually got picture paragraphs unloaded, wise words being quoted. That's what I've got. Peak the weakness in the rap game is sold it. Bow down, pray to God, hoping that he's listening. Cities coming for me, and the diamonds when they glisten. Nick, go check that Skate Podcast 9 Club. That moving cartoon frame they got is sick. And right, let me write it down, because, again, anyone who knows me, I've got the worst memory on the planet. So let me just type this. I'll actually type it. Skate Podcast 9 Club. Right, I'll highlight that and I'll send it to myself so I can have a proper look at it. And if it's nice enough and it's good, then I will definitely look into getting something like that. I'll send it myself there. There we go. It was all a dream. Biggest Smalls, that's the one. Prediction for the game. I'm going to save it. I'll do the prediction when we do the preview on Wednesday/Thursday. Right, guys, I'm actually going to leave it at that. Loved the chat for the last 20, 25 minutes, whatever it's been. Completely forgot I was ranting about Graeme Souness. But I have been talking a lot, so I'll give you a break. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I appreciate it, as always. Love the community. Love the growth of the channel. Keep supporting, keep smashing those likes and subscribing to the channel. Share to a friend. And enjoy the rest of your day, guys. We've got a busy week coming up on the channel. And, you don't want to miss it. So turn on those notification bells. Drop us a follow on socials. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, for all your updates and reels and things like that. And I'll check you guys out in the next one, yeah?